Howdy partners, and welcome to another episode of Rise Again. Today I have absolutely no idea what to do. You see, it's spring break. Everyone's gone. All my family's at work. Grant's off in New York trying to learn how to be a penguin in Madagascar or something like that. I don't even know what he's doing out there. And it's snowy outside. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing fun I can do for this vlog type episode. But I figured that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to teach you guys anything. But what? What can I teach you? Well, if you follow us on Instagram, you've noticed that we've been posting a lot of these endless looping cardistry cinematograph GIFs. Not to toot my own horn, but I do think they look pretty cool, and one of the most common questions we get, whether it be in the DMs or in the comments section, is, "Yo, Chandler, Grant, how do you make those?" But I actually want you guys to be able to learn how to do this, so instead of using this fancy camera to make a cinematograph, I'm going to use a good old cell phone, which I'm assuming all of you have because you're watching this. Oh yeah, and I had to take the train home from Virginia to Philadelphia for spring break, so I couldn't bring home my fancy lighting setup to make this look as primetime as possible. So I'm sorry for shortchanging you guys on the production quality, but I'll try and make up for it with my sense of humor. So first things first, you need to grab a deck of cards that you like, and you need to get your butt outside. Now, it's important to come outside because we're going to be shooting in slow motion. Now, I know almost all of your phones have the slow motion feature, and when you're shooting at a high frame rate, you need a lot more light so the slow motion is not blurry and it stays as crisp as possible. It's going to be important for this video to be crisp for when we make it into a cinematograph. What we need to find next is a place to set down our phone that acts like a tripod, because we want the camera to stay still while we do our flourish.
So, like I said, I doubt you guys are able to see this, but you want to open up your camera and go to slow-mo. You need to be shooting in slow motion. Well, you don't need to be shooting in slow motion, but it helps a ton.
Now, you could do this type of cinematograph with so many different card flourishes. You could do the spring, you could do the anaconda, you could do the riffle fan, you could do friffle, you could do cascade. So many options. You could do waterfall. I'm gonna do the spring for this one because that's probably the one that most of you will be able to do as well. Now, the reason we're shooting in slow motion is because you're gonna wanna find a point in your spring where your hands are staying still the most. So you kind of have to modify how you do the spring. Most people, when they do the spring, are going to kind of move their hands with the spring. In this case, you need to keep in mind that you want your hands to stay as much in the same spot as possible. The slow motion will help find that area where they're staying still longest, right? So instead of doing the spring like this, I'm just going to do it with my hands straight down. Make sure the camera's focusing my iPhone, and just... Alright, my hands are numb, and I'm pretty sure I got what I was looking for. So let's get back inside. I'm freezing. Alright, so we're back here in the studio, and I'm going to show you how to make that slow-mo video into a cinematograph using two programs, Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Photoshop. Now, I understand not all of you guys might have access to those programs. They're pretty expensive. I personally get them for free with my university, right? But if you don't have access to them, you could download the free trial that lasts 30 days and try this out. Or I'm sure that some of your computers at your middle school, high school, or university have these programs available for you to use. So go ahead and ask around, check that out, or if you do it, just follow along. All right, now let's hop into the screen right now. I'll look like one of those cool Twitch gamers, you know, and let's figure out how to do it. All right, let's exit out of that really quick. Okay, so we have our video file in Premiere Pro is where you want to go first. We got to import it. I'm just gonna drag it over. Pow! It's in there. We got it there, and we got it vertically, right? You don't want to film vertically for YouTube, but if you're doing Instagram, you're gonna want to do vertically so it fills up more of that space. All right, so what you need to do is scroll through and find your best spring. Ooh, sucks, sucks, sucks. Okay, that one could look really cool. So I'm gonna rewind, cut. Okay, that one wasn't that bad, but we'll check out the others. This is the part that always stresses me out, is choosing the right one. I'm trying to find the biggest one because we all know bigger's better. I'm talking to the camera like a Neanderthal. Okay, so we like that one. We like that one. And we like that one. Let's bring those all up to the front for no reason rather than I have ADD. Now, since you're going to bring these into Photoshop next and make the actual cinematograph, any sort of color change you want to do to these, you're going to want to do here. Now, I'm not going to go over how to edit your video with color. It's just something I like to do. So we'll skip ahead to when I've got that all cropped and how I like. Now, like I said, since you are vertical and you do have space to room and crop these, you can make them fill up as much screen as you want by zooming in here. Ooh, look at that. That could be really cool. Alright, so I got all these zoomed in. I'm gonna nest them together and change their color really quick. Nesting is just kind of when you group things together. Alright, so let's go in here and adjust the color. Since I'm lazy, I'm just gonna drop a, you know how they have filters on Instagram? I have some of those filters myself. Now, all we have to do is export this, so let's Control S to save it, File, Export, Media, I'm gonna name it Spring Thing. And I have 3 options if you go through this. I have this spring, that spring, that spring. And we'll look through once we get into Photoshop and see which one's the best for what we're trying to do. And export. Alright, now we're gonna go over to Photoshop and make the magic happen. I'll show you what you're looking for here. So we pop into Photoshop, we got our video file open, we'll zoom it nice and in, and now we will play it and find the area that we like the best that will basically show where our hands are staying still the longest. So we have the first one, second one, and the third one. I feel like I'm on House Hunters right now and I gotta choose one of the 3. This is where the slow motion can come into play like I was explaining before. Since this is in slow motion, our margin of error of finding the area where our hands are the stillest is much larger. Now, I think that the middle one's the best. Right in that range right there. So we're going to trim the clip down to that range and then trim it even more so to find the area where it looks like a loop almost. So you see it's just looping and it kind of already looks like a loop. Now here's where it's going to get a little complicated. What you want to do is really trim this down. So let me zoom in. Looks like it gets a little bad near the end there. So let's trim some off the end. Now this, like I said, is where it gets a little complicated, a little technological. You're going to want to take this layer. That's how things work in Photoshop. You have layers. You're going to drag it down and make another copy of that layer. Then you kind of want to drag it up to the middle so they're at separate, see how they're, and you can stack them on top of each other. Now the key to a loop, if you think about it, is that where the video starts is also where the video ends. There's only one way to make this happen. You're going to want to take the bottom layer and throw it all the way to the end. So that way, this frame right here, the start of this, is exactly the same as the start of this if you look. Then what you're going to do now is take this bottom one and drag it, let's say about that far. Then let's drag that to the end. So now once again, that first frame is where that first frame of the first one ends, right? But why does that matter if this layer one is on top of it? What we want to do now is play with the opacity, and you're going to want to play with that and keyframe it so that if you go here, drop this down, right, you're going to want to go opacity, keyframe. Now at there, you're going to want it to be at 100%. See over here? But if you scrub over at the end, by the time you reach the end, you want that opacity to be 0. So on that top layer, it has the bottom layer on top of it. The farther along it goes in, you want that end frame to match the beginning frame, right? So it fades into the bottom one, making the bottom match the front of the top. Does that make any sense? I hope so. It makes sense to me. So let's zoom in, make sure that's at the very end. Let's see how it looks. Now, you might think, Chandler, that looks absolutely horrendous and embarrassing. That's because we haven't done the final step yet. Now here's the key part. It's impossible to keep your hands still like that the whole time. So what we want to do is choose what areas of this video that we want moving. So how are we going to do that? We're going to go Control Shift Option E. And what that's going to do is basically take a screenshot of whatever we're looking at. So if you let it play, let me zoom out for a second here and trim that clip. The top, go down here so it equals that, zoom in. Now, as you can see, it's a still picture. What we're going to do is cut a hole in the areas of that picture that we want to move. This is how we make it happen. So you have layer 2, which is the still layer. So this is the still layer. Then you have these two, which are the things we set up before, right? Now a layer mask is basically erasing areas of that layer. So you're gonna come over here after you hit that mask button. See how it's white right there by it says still? You're gonna take this paintbrush tool and we will zoom in and we can start erasing. See where it's red? Where I'm clicking and dragging where it's red, that's the area that's gonna be moving in the picture. So you basically only wanna make red. And by the way, you can toggle seeing the red or not by hitting the dash or backslash button on your keyboard. I like to have it on so I see what I'm doing and I can zoom in. So you obviously don't want the hands to be moving. You really just want the area where the cards are coming off. This does take some fine tuning, so it's not gonna be perfect the first time you do it. All right, so we need a little bit more up here. As you can tell, that one needed some more space, needs some more space. Turn that toggle off and zoom out. Let's see how this looks. All right, guys, it doesn't look good now because the computer takes a long time to render it, even though it's a nice computer. It'll look a lot better once you export it. Let's try that. Let's see how that works. So in order to save this as a GIF, which is what we're doing, we're gonna hit Shift Option Command S, which is save for web. Now we got this up. You don't want optimized. We're not optimizing this. We're going original, full quality. You want GIF selected of preset. It'll all be like this automatic. Looping options forever, and save. Spring Thing GIF, and save. Okay, now what to do next is hop up into Premiere Pro and get this ready to post. Now last but not least, we have the third and final step on how to make these cinemagraphs, and that is just exporting as a video because you cannot post a GIF to Instagram. So let's hop back into Premiere Pro. You're gonna import that GIF that you just exported and drop it right into your timeline, just like that. Now that's how the final product looks, but you want to loop, not do that. You're just gonna Control C, go to the end of it, right? And then hit Control V up until about 4 seconds because on Instagram, you can't post anything shorter than 3 seconds. So let's see how that looks now. Let's make it full screen. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. See, that would get 1,000 likes, guaranteed. Now, all you have to do is take it, export it, name whatever you want, save, export, and it's exported. All you have to do now is drop it on your phone, and you'll be good to go to post it on Instagram. Let's see how it looks on the phone. All right, like I said, the final step once you got your phone is look. There it is, widescreen. Next, look at that. Look at that. And you just have an endlessly looping, nice post that you can drop on the feed that everyone will love and enjoy. And it's actually not that difficult at all. I know this is a super weird video, not a vlog, not a magic tutorial, just a weird tech tutorial, but we're right about to hit 30,000 subscribers, so hop on board if you like this video. If you want more videos like this, drop a comment. If you don't, drop a comment. And for now, trust the process as Rise Magic makes its way to 100,000 subscribers. I'll see you in the next one.